Hello friends, how are you? It's been a while. Thank you for your feedback on this little folio that I created. I'm going to show you how I made this, so let's get to it. What you'll need is one sheet of 8.5 by 11 and then one piece of paper at 3.5 by 4, and this was scraps. So this part was a scrap. This was the whole piece. You're gonna need adhesive. I'm gonna use wet glue for this, a paper punch or a circle punch. I used a 1-inch, and a corner rounder, a piercing tool, and a burnisher. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut that 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and you're gonna cut it at 6.5 by 11. And the strip that you cut off, you can use it as a belly band for a closure, or you can just use it and save it in your scraps. And then you're gonna score this piece on the 11-inch side at 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 9, and 9 1/4. The reason why you're having these 1/4 inch lines, this is gonna create a gusset. And if you don't know what a gusset is, it's this little, I just dropped something. Disregard that loud noise. The gusset gives you the space in between pages to be able to create a little gap so that you have room to add things. If you didn't have it, it'd be lying flush like this. So you can decide what you want to do, if you want to have it flush, or if you want gussets. If you're going to add bulk or you're going to add things to it, I would highly recommend the gusset. Okay, and you can make this gusset as wide as you'd like. And so let's continue. So once you've done your score lines on this piece of paper, you're going to go ahead and fold on your lines. You're going to fold on your score lines, and then you're going to burnish. Same thing on the other one. These smaller gussets are kind of hard to fold sometimes when they're that small. And then I want to make sure that it's folded nice and it's even all the way on the other end of the page. So here's two gusset lines folded and burnished. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. You're going to fold and burnish. And this is pretty much it. This is going to be the base of your folio. This is something that you can add to an existing journal, or it can be a standalone project. You can use it for many things, as I've mentioned in the previous video. And this is it. This is really all there is. Now you can decide if you want to corner punch these ends or leave it as is. I'm going to go ahead and use my crocodile, and I used a 1/4 inch on my project, so that's what I'm going to do on this one. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch, not the 1/4 inch. So I'm going to use 1/2 inch corner rounder here. And you can use a decorative edge if you want. You can use whatever you want. You don't have to round it if you don't want. Okay, so it's going to be this way. All right, and that's really all there is to it. You can add a closure. You can create a belly band closure, whatever you want to do. You can add a magnet. I'm very partial to magnets. I really like magnets better. But in order to create the closure that I have here, all I did was on a scrap piece of paper, I used my 1-inch corner, my hole punch, and I cut out 2 pieces, and then I'm just going to adhere those 2 together. And then let me make sure I put this back on here. And then I'm going to glue these 2 pieces together. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure that it's evenly placed here. And then you can measure if you want. I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to eyeball the center. I'm going to just kind of use these little grid marks here and just pierce it. This piercing tool I got at Dollar Tree a long time ago. I don't know if they still have it. So you can use whatever you want to pierce your little hole on here. And this is it. I have these mini brads that I got at, I think it was Hobby Lobby if I'm not mistaken. And I'm just going to insert this. Okay, and now if you're going to use this type of closure, I would highly recommend that you mat this paper first before you set this on top. And before you add your paper here, because I don't like my closure to be exposed on this side. So before you add your circle, your fastener, you want to go ahead and mat your paper. Matting your paper is totally up to you if you want a 1/8 of an inch border or a 1/4 of an inch border. I did a 1/4 of an inch. So let's just say this piece is 6.5 by 1 3/4. So my matting paper is going to be at 6 by 1 3/4, by 1 1/2. Okay, you see how I came to that? So if I want a 1/2 inch border, I want it at 6, and this now measures 6 3/4. I want it at 6.5, and this measures 6 1/4. I'm sorry, 6.5, and so I want it at 6 1/4. That's how I decide on my mat. I'm gonna do the same thing, measurements on my paper to mat here. Now, when you're matting the inside, now you have these 2 lines here, these 2 gusset lines. Your paper, this panel now is no longer going to measure 5 inches, because now you want to measure on the inside of the gusset, so that now this panel here that you want to mat is at about 4 3/8 by 6 1/2. Okay, so in order to mat this one, I'm going to do 6 1/4 long lengthwise, and then widthwise I am going to go at 4 1/4 to give me a 1 inch, a 1/2 inch border around the edges. And you're going to do the same thing to the rest of the pages when you mat it. And that's really it. I'm going to just punch this hole just for demonstration purposes. And I'm gonna just eyeball it in the center. I don't even know, man. I have bad eyes. So that's just not a good thing, but I'm just gonna go right here. Okay. And actually that looks pretty darn good. And then once it's matted, then you add your closure. Okay. And you may have to go a little bit wider just because. And then that's pretty much it. Okay, and that's what it's gonna look like. I don't want to, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. I don't want to open the fasteners until I've punched it through the matted paper. Or actually, I don't, because I need to mat this. But once the paper, this is done, not the paper, you go ahead and open it up. And then you would mat it so that you don't see the back side. That's just preference for me. Or you can use little Velcro strips, Velcro circles. That's another option. And all I had, this was just baker's twine I had in my stash, and just cut it at, I don't know, I think maybe 16 inches or so. I think it was like 16. And I just tied 2 knots on one end, and that's it. I added a little charm here, and I did a double knot. You can do that. You can add your little jump rings. You can make this as fancy and as simple as you like. Now for the inside pocket, this little paper is from Scraps. This was 3.5 by 4, scored a 1/2 inch on the 3.5 inch side. And so I'm gonna fold this, and you can put this really wherever you want. You can put it on the side, in the middle, you can put it on the top, you can put it on the bottom, you can put it wherever you want. And I'm going to put mine here, but before I do, I'm going to miter my corners just so that when I when I mat it, you won't see the flap on the edge of the paper. And again, that's just preference. And so I'm going to cut those out. I'm going to add my adhesive to this part of the flap here, and you're going to measure this again so that you can create whatever size or whatever border you want on your paper. And I just put this sideways. Find my center and just place it here. If you want it in the center, if you don't want it in the center, you can place it on a corner. And you would do the same thing if you want to add a pocket here. You would measure here, and then in goes your pocket. This pocket here, I think, was 3.5 by 5. Let's see, let me do a quick measure before my time runs out on this video. So this is 4.5, so this was actually 5 by 3, and then I scored a 1/2 inch on each side so that it fits within my score lines, and that's how I made this pocket. You don't have to have a pocket. That was just something I decided to do. And that's pretty much it. I hope this helps. Thank you guys for wanting to watch a tutorial. I appreciate you. I love you. Until next time, bye.